Well, hello there, true believers, and welcome to another episode of That 90s Spider-Man Show. Well, kinda. We're talking about Disney Plus shows that we've missed in the intervening 6 months since WandaVision.
Yeah, so go back to part 1.
And just listen through that shit for all the stuff we talked about in the movies. Well, he talked about primarily Shang-Chi and Black Widow.
Yeah, and then we realised we had too much to say, so we're doing the Disney TV shows as well in this one.
We have so much shit to say, you wouldn't even fucking believe it, guys.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no, we thought we'd cover the other remaining Disney Plus shows, which we haven't covered before, which would entitle then Falcon The Winter Soldier, Loki, and What If I'm correct?
Yes, that's correct.
That is correct.
Let's jump into Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which we were going to do a Patreon episode about, and then never did because, negative enthusiasm from you, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a word for that, but negative enthusiasm. Extremely not enthusiastic about watching that show. And I'd say coming out of it, I don't think the emotion I'm feeling is technically enthusiasm or contrition. It's more I feel less about this than maybe I expected to.
My general thing with Falcon and Winter Soldier is that I went in not excited because there was nothing really about it that I was. Aside from the fact that I was like, well, maybe now is the opportunity for them to do some Captain America stories that they didn't get to do because the third one was so much about the MCU as a whole rather than Captain America. So, maybe they can do more classic stuff here, but then just do it alongside this, story of who will wield the shield, which is what the comic story was called.
Yeah, Wield the Shield, 2021.
So I was like, well, maybe it could be that, but none of the trailers looked that interesting to me. It looked like they were going for a Hobbs & Shaw thing that I was really not down. Also, I will say,
underwhelmed by.
I know a lot of people really liked Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan's relationship in the movies, but did
they have much one beyond Civil War?
It was mostly that, but the idea of them having banter or whatever. But I found every joke they had together in Civil War was the worst lines of that movie.
I can remember one such line, which is where they're fighting Spider-Man, and it's not even clever.
He's like, I hate you.
Yeah, and
and it's you just didn't know what the punchline was going to be, so you just said that.
Yeah.
And then people were down for it, so
because it was just so styled for quality content. We're just oh look, something's happening.
Is this the cynicism podcast then?
Yeah.
Because the first one, all your enthusiasm went into Shang-Chi, and then my enthusiasm about Black Widow, and then you were kind of well...
We probably should have not started with the one I'm least enthusiastic about.
Well, I would say that, I started off not into it. I gradually got into it. And then by the time they got to the penultimate episode, I was like, you know what? I'm actually down with the show. I like it. And then the last episode, I think, was a step down, but I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was just okay. And I thought that was a lackluster ending, but, in the end, I quite enjoyed the show. And then I'm glance at Twitter and Twitter is on fire. Everyone's screaming about how terrible. Well, sorry, I'm making everyone sound hysterical who doesn't have the same opinion as me, but
I guess that's what Twitter is.
But what I mean to say is I feel like people were found the last episode so bad it was embarrassing, that kind of thing. And I didn't have that cringe sort of reaction. I just thought it was a bit basic. And left a few things up in the air that I didn't need to be left up in the air.
They're my main criticism and also praise of the show is that the show has lots of really interesting ideas and concepts that it brings up, but it doesn't really either have the time, the ability.
It has the time.
It doesn't have
fuck you. I'm never hearing that shit about MCU movies again. We don't have the time in a 2-hour movie, and then we get a 10-hour or 6-hour, whatever the fuck it is. And then it's we didn't have time. You always had time. You are the master of your own stories. You can create these.
So the ability, I guess, then to follow through on any of those ideas.
Yeah.
The most interesting part for me, I guess, in the show is Anthony Mackie and how he fits into this Captain America sort of conversation.
Yeah, I think it's interesting seeing him. And I think definitely there is...
It's an interesting idea, let's be honest.
It definitely could have been written better, but I do think the things it raised about, what it would be like to be offered that and then to say no. And of course you'd say no, like that makes sense from his point of view, but then it's like the sort of arc where his character goes from being at the start being like, I don't want any part of this, to I am going to willingly become this sort of icon. I think that they handled that really well the whole way through. I think the only thing is like some of the speech stuff at the end was kind of corny, but like I feel like what they should have done in that instance is not make the final speech like less corny. I think they should make a point that they're self-aware that it's corny, because like that's part of Captain America's whole thing.
I think that's a problem with that like last scene, is that like, not that he's making the speech, I think that's fine, but all the politicians are like, you know what, Captain America, you're right.
Yeah.
Let's go and fix things. And it's like, yeah, shut the fuck up.
Well, what they should be, like, again, like a simple thing that would change that is afterwards you see that those politicians went back on what they said.
They were full of shit because
they were in front of cameras.
Yeah.
Like, of course they're gonna like agree with Captain America on camera.
Yeah.
And then maybe he's a bit bummed out, but he's like, still gotta keep fighting.
It's a principle, yeah.
Like, and then someone says, actually, but this one politician did follow through, and you're like, oh,
well,
cool.
That's a tiny amount of progress.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there's a lot of the movie is like, no, the show is what's her name again?
Carly Morgenthau.
Wow.
Is that actually the right name?
Yeah, that's the right name.
Okay,
anyway,
sure. Thanks, brain.
I found her a little bit underwhelming at first, but she actually grew on me as the show went on, and I actually came away really liking her, and I liked her relationship with Falcon. The way they talk, the way they kind of almost wanted. It's almost like they agree, but they come from these different backgrounds, and they're like, we both know what the issue is here, and we both agree on that, but I've got to do this. And Sam's like, yeah, but we've got to... It's kind of that debate that goes around a lot of like, do you do it within the system? The difference between someone who is like, the world needs to change in these ways, can't trust politicians, well, and then someone's like, well, if you want to make change happen, you've got to be inside the system and make a few compromises to move it, because like otherwise you're not part of the power to change it. And that conversation happens a lot, and then people being like, yeah, but you're being corrupted by it, or whatever the conversation is. And I feel like they were having that dialogue, and she was like very much like, the route you're going down just neuters it all and just stops anything from happening. And then he's kind of like, yeah, but you're going to turn everyone against us because of the violence. And I think the only problem I'd see with that is that right at the start of the show, they're like, oh no, she's a problem. This terrorist group are a problem. And I was like, what have they done? And then it was only like halfway through the show or something where they like blew up someone that killed people. And I was like, if there were more casualties, I'd understand why everyone was freaking out about these guys. But early on, I was like, they just seem like activists.
That's like another criticism I have of this show, is that like the dynamic between Falcon and Carly is really interesting. And I have a problem with this with a lot of the MCU movies, which have like activist villains. The problem is never with the philosophy, Like, it's not like Carly's philosophy is shown to be erroneous, or she's got some other like motivations behind it. It's always she goes straight to 11, she's killing people for no reason, and that's why she has to be stopped. And I think it's something that happens a bit in Black Panther, where you look at Killmonger and look at the points he's making, and you're like, yeah, this is right. But at the same time, like, as like a film, you could have a kind of debate of like, why is it this way, and how can we kind of find a middle ground? And Black Panther does that better. But here, it's kind of nowhere. It's like she's killing innocent people.
Well,
it kind of feels like a cop-out.
I feel like they have a follow-through, at least. I don't think, like you said, I think they do the standard thing of like, hers is more violent. Which
but it doesn't need to be more violent. It has nothing to do with the actual
philosophy. But also,
philosophy.
if you're thinking about violence, right, it only in these movies makes sense when they do it against innocent civilians, because the start of this show, Falcon like straight up murdering a bunch of people, like they're fighting in the helicopters or whatever. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but you can't draw a line of like, oh my god, she's out there, she killed a security guard, and it's like, well, yeah, you killed one of Batroc's henchmen when you threw him out of a helicopter, and like that guy is, in the same sort of position as like an obstacle in the way of you stopping your enemies, and it's like, so you're kind of doing the same thing, and but the idea is like, yeah, but one is the status quo and one isn't. So...
Yeah, we might as well just stay where we are. And the similar thing happens as well with what's it called? Was it Wyatt Russell's character?
Yeah.
Who ends up being US agent, right?
Yeah.
Where he's kind of starts off as this sort of like Dark Mirror to Captain America, aka Steve Rogers, and you kind of see like a bit of how the show's kind of incorporated American foreign policy into the whole thing. And there's also like a fucking max point with that. There's like a point where we kill someone in the street, and you're like, okay, let's do something with
blood
this.
on the shield.
Blood on the shield. Great, super on the nose metaphor, but I'll take it. And the show again doesn't really know what to say about it. By the end of it,
I think they did the arc.
Around.
I think they did the arc fine. The arc finished when, he went over the line, and then they fought him, they beat him, they argued, they took him in. I quite enjoyed that fight. It was right at the start of an episode, which was a bit weird, but I think that all figured out fine. And I can't remember, there was some final words shared between them that felt very climactic, and I was like, oh, this feels like the end of the show, right?
Yeah.
Because the stuff with Carly, or at the start, to me, really felt like a side plot rather than like a main thing. Yeah. So I was surprised when it kind of took over and became like the main thing, and then his storyline falls to the side. A bit later, they like had the option to bring him back, and I'm like, okay, I'm not 100% down for this, but like I kind of like how you crafted a villain, gave it a bit of space, and then he can come back as a villain. And then he comes back and does the redemption arc out of fucking nowhere.
It's garbage.
And I think if you trim that bit off,
yeah,
his character is like hands down one of my favorite villains in the MCU. I thought Wyatt Russell was excellent. I thought the arc was great. I thought the fighting was great. I liked where they started him from, where they ended him up, how they got him there. And then they do this bit at the end where you're like, okay, well,
we've got to like him because we've got to give him his own show.
It really feels like someone came in and went like, and this is the kind of thing that I don't think tends to happen in Marvel movies that much, MCU movies, but used to happen a lot in like, something like Spider-Man 3, where you could feel like the producers come on and be like, you have to put Venom in this or whatever. And here it feels like you have to put this character, we want to do things with him. We want to maybe put him on a Thunderbolts team. We maybe want to put him on a West Coast Avengers, New Avengers, whatever then this next step is. We kind of maybe want to encourage him in that, or maybe like Masters of Evil, like some sort of team, but we need that team to be something that a kid can buy a toy of. So we need to take off some of these edges, and we want him on this team, and then they kind of like shift him off. And I will say, like, do you want a spoiler for post-credits of Black Widow?
Can I guess it? And if I get it wrong, we move on.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that like US Agent and Florence Pugh are going to end up working together in the future because they seem like they're part of the same sort of faction.
Okay, then yes, you basically got it right.
Yeah.
The post-credits specifically is Florence Pugh meets
Julia Louis-Dreyfus' character?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she does the Nick Fury thing of like, where I can't actually remember what the actual dialogue is, but it's there's some implication of some way of them working together in this scene. And after that happened with US Agent at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there's this concept of like, there's some sort of team put together, and I'm like, if she's gonna be on it, maybe they could do it's like an evil team that she realizes is bad and defects. Yeah. Or it could be like a thing where they're all like anti-heroes, so it's like, considering Florence Pugh's character is an assassin, but maybe a good person deep down. And I don't know what they're doing, but it really does. They just take out Wyatt Russell and just go like, your character can't be this anymore, And it goes from something ballsy to something like really like shitty.
Yeah.
Also, I've heard a lot of people criticize it, but I like the
bit where like Sebastian and Stan and Antimacator just talking in like the garden, or like throwing the shield around and shit.
Why would you guess that I was going to say that?
Because that's what I saw on Twitter as well. The people were just like giving that scene shit, and I'm like,
really?
Yeah, no, I'm like,
I thought that scene was fine. I thought it was like, good. Good to have a scene.
Two dudes just talking about how they feel about shit.
You know what? I'm glad to have a scene, and this is the same in Black Widow. I'm glad to have a scene where characters get to talk to each other about how they're feeling about things, rather than like we just skip that bit because all the people watching, they know how they feel, so let's just skip to the next bit.
And it's like, no, these people are people. Let them be people, for fuck's sake.
The best part of Black Widow is there's a point when Florence Pugh and ScarJo are like pushed together, and then they just go, they're driving somewhere, and then they stop by like some like food van or something, and they're just like eating food and having a drink, sat on a bench outside with other people like near them, and they're just having a conversation as people, and they're like making fun of each other a bit, and they're talking, and then a few like flaws and insecurities are coming up, and it's a bit of an argument as well, and it's just like two people talking, and I remember being like, thank fuck we got some of this, you know?
It just doesn't happen.
And it was one of my favorite things about that movie, and why I'm glad that like, why I kind of want to highlight it a bit, and why it surprised me a bit, because I was like, oh, I'm glad we're getting some of these scenes.
I'm glad this is an actual movie.
Yeah, and having that sort of stuff in Falcon the Winter Soldier, like, yeah, that scene probably wasn't necessary, but it was nice to see Sam get to the point where he's like, I think I'm gonna break and just go, fuck it, I'm Captain America, but like see him like still struggling to get to that point. It's not like you see look on his face as he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be Captain America. He stares
dramatically towards like the shield. Or
exactly, and then next scene he comes through and you're like, oh, he made the decision by implication.
Yeah.
But instead we see him
like
make the conversation and just be like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't. Fuck it, I'm gonna do it.
And he kind of like explains his viewpoint. He's like, yeah, I understand why you're doing this.
I also they brought in the Captain America. I think it's called Black, White, and Red. Or whatever.
Like a comics series, I guess.
Yeah, it's a comic which is about the Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah, so the old dude.
The old guy in this. Yeah. And it's a very different sort of story. The story is basically the story that Isaiah tells. But you're actually watching that story and you're tracking his life. And then it's kind of got an epilogue of Steve Rogers finding out about this in the present. And he hears this whole story.
And like flipping a table.
And then he goes to Isaiah Bradley and he finds him, and now he's
beating him to death.
Now he's old and he's like, he's got a carer and he basically can't speak anymore. He's like that fucked up. Fuck. And then him just being there, and then he talks to like the wife and he talks to like the son, and they have a conversation, and then I think there's little bits in between of Cap like, you know, visiting a general and being like, what the fuck is going on? I heard this. And it's a amazing story. Yeah, I really highly recommend it. It's a little hard to find sometimes, but you can see it on Marvel Unlimited. It's, I think, from like 2003 or something. But anyway, it's just a really good story about bringing race into comics and talking about how like how African American people were treated during World War II by their own government.
Yeah.
And I'm like that they adapted it like into the show. And I guess like the way to do that is like, which they didn't do in the comics because it wasn't, you know, planned, but like you can remix it and go, well, instead of Steve Rogers finding out about this, have it be this guy who is black and taking over the mantle. So of course that makes sense for him to hear that and have that
like
alternate
his character
point of view.
Like conflict,
because you have like white society saying you can't be Captain America. You have white society saying you can be Captain America. You have
black people
being like you should do it, and then you have black people saying no, you shouldn't
do it.
And then you have that shouldn't represented by this guy who's like had his entire life fucked up and is like, you're a fucking naive idiot if you think that you should wear the flag.
Yeah.
You know? And I liked that stuff.
Or even you think you should, but like you should want to at any point.
And while I do think that there's something to be said for like him choosing to be a symbol of hope at the end and everything, I do feel like they didn't necessarily wrap up the Isaiah stuff as well, because it's kind of like, oh, you
why
silly...
did it? You're damn scum.
Like, I think maybe it's okay for like characters to not like each other, you know? Like, what if like...
He can be like, I don't think you made the wrong decision there.
What if he said, like, they ended it and he was like, you're a naive idiot, and then he's like, you know, well...
Fuck you, old man.
I was thinking maybe something a bit more nuanced, but that will work as well. Something similar to like the Ultron and Vision scene at the end of Age of Ultron, where it's kind of like, what was it? He says you're hopelessly naive or something, and he was like, well, I was born yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like this kind of like, that movie doesn't end with them being like, you know, I do begrudgingly accept you. You are a cool badass, Vision. And he's like, yeah, I don't have the biggest dick too.
Yeah, and I'm also very, very kind and helpful. And I help the community.
Yeah, and it's they did kind of whiff it at the end, but I didn't find the whole anything like dramatically bad.
I think it was dramatically probably the best part of the show.
I thought you didn't like it.
What, the stuff with Captain America? Sorry, with Isaiah Bradley?
No, I thought like the ending.
I didn't. It's not like I didn't like it. It's just the things we talked about, i.e., Wyatt Russell kind of about facing out of nowhere, Carly Morgenthau kind of almost having that like the violent stuff kind of coming to a head in a way that was a bit like, ugh.
Yeah, they needed to give her more of a push to get that violent.
I think the show could have been good if it was interested in like fleshing out any of its ideas, which it wasn't.
You know what it should have been? It should have been longer.
Told you I didn't have time.
Fine, fuck it. It's the same length.
Yeah.
But make Carly a subplot and shrink that down a bit, and don't have so many episodes repeating the same stuff. But then she's not huge, but they can still have that connection. But maybe something happens. Maybe fucking Wyatt Russell kills her, and then it's like this extra bad thing of like, oh my god, you killed this person I was getting through to.
Yeah, and it's like that's a much more satisfying.
And then you're
arc.
the villain.
Yeah,
and then it can be about defeating him is almost like defeating the specter
of like American like shittiness.
Yeah. And like you're
but the problem then is that you can't have Wyatt Russell being on a separate TV show.
Fuck me. Then fucking
so
old man Disney comes in the room and goes, "Where's my toy?" And Avi Arad's there for some reason, even though he's the competition.
Yeah, I just heard toy and it came right over. And I don't know if this is intentional, but there's a kind of really funny meta commentary about like how black people are used in American like culture and society. This idea that, like, in general, they're being excluded and they're told they can't do things, but then at the same time, they're also like, hey, come clean up the white people's mess. You know, and you see this every election campaign where it's like, black voters, come and vote for Biden. He's not going to do shit for you, but we need you to win. Yeah. You know, and it's either you kind of eat crow here and you help us, or fascism. And it's like that every 4 years.
You eat crow or you eat Jim Crow?
Eat crow or eat Jim Crow. Every 4 years. And, like...
Sorry, that's the most incredible phrase. I'm very proud of it.
And it's like fucking... It's like that's a meta commentary going on with Anthony Mackie in that. Like, he's like...
Well, it's been used politically as a tool, and it's like even Bucky saying, do it, is like a thing of like, you don't fucking understand what this situation is, man. Yeah. And that's why I like that final scene, not final scene, but like the scene that you were on about where they're talking... Because fucking Bucky says the words, whether it was like, I didn't realize like how hard it would be to be dealing with this as a black guy in America.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like some people took it, even people who agree with the message, took it as a bit too like, on the nose, a bit too whatever. But I feel but that's because we're not used to like white
earnestness.
People. Yeah, but white people talking honestly, because it's always like we've got to be like making fun of like the extreme racists or like being extra certain we're not, and like
there's not a mission of like maybe there's something for me to learn as a liberal white man.
And it's not even like him saying like, oh, I realize it's a bad idea now. It's just him realizing like,
my perspective wasn't quite the best perspective on this.
Yeah, or I didn't realize that I didn't have complete knowledge of something.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of a cool thing, and it kind of, and again, now I speak about it, like it's making me like it more. I think the problems, it feels like a good show that was chipped away at. And we know that there was reshoots and edits because apparently there was more of a plot around like a virus, like a biological weapon that they cut out
for obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons, and they. Imagine if there's one person listening like, what are they talking about? What's the obvious reason? What happened?
If you're tuning in from the year 2026...
Yeah,
Yeah, it was this global pandemic that happened for 2 years.
Yeah.
Just fucked everything up. And I will say, though, I will ask, so do you know these edits that they made as part of like the editing process of the show? Was Sebastian Stan involved in any of them because he has nothing to do in these episodes?
I think... they kind of have something a bit to do with him, and then they kind of like he fades out a bit, and then he comes back a bit. I think it was a problem of like he should have been a side character in this, or they should have given him more to do with the time he has on screen. Because like if you just cut his scenes down a bit, then he's just a side character who has an arc in the Falcon's TV show.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good idea. Like, it should be called Falcon, or it should be called the Falcon, or I don't know.
Falcon one was sold.
I honestly, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is a shitty name.
But I mean, the idea that like Sebastian Stan's going to be in this as well is going to be based on their like chemistry rather than
you can
let's
still
talk about how like
that.
black people are fucking exploited in this society.
Well, like fucking like being like Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. It's like you do in the trailer. It's not, they don't have to call the movie Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
Yeah, but
go
Falcon
to
isn't
Rainy
Spider-Man,
Town.
though, is he?
Huh?
Falcon's not Spider-Man.
No, but like, I mean, we'll come up with something else. Call it like Captain America.
Captain America. Yeah, look, I would watch that show.
You know what they should have called it? They should have called it Black Captain America. Captain America is black now. Yeah. ... question mark. They didn't. Yeah, he doesn't have enough to do in it. If they were going to give him more,
because they started,
but he has a lot to deal with. Because they need to like go like, okay, so what happened?
Here's like 100 years of trauma.
What happened? Funny because it's true.
Because they started off kind of like, okay, this is going to be something. They started off with him in therapy going like, hey, have you like dealt with all the years of like you being a fucking murderer? And he's like, I don't need to because I'm a man.
I think he was also, his edges were taken off because there was an element where I was like, isn't Winter Soldier like fucking going around like getting like murderous revenge on people?
Yeah.
And then they like make a thing of like, oh no, he tracked someone down like he was gonna kill them, scared them a bit, and then said like, oh, I'm gonna reveal that you're corrupt or something. And it's like, oh, it's because he needs to be a hero. He can't like be
killing people.
He can't be an assassin who's like, because in the comics, like, you know, when Winter Soldier like had his like memory restored a little bit, he didn't then become a good guy on the Avengers straight away. He like spent a while on the run, like killing people, getting revenge, a bit more like Wolverine, like a darker character, but he's like on the side of the good. And then later he sort of comes back into the fold. But we never got that because it all got skipped over in Infinity War because they just didn't, you know, they should have had a Captain America story after Winter Soldier, really.
Yeah.
But like they didn't finish that, so they got to do it now and catch up on it, but then they didn't go that deep with it. It almost felt like they're sort of killing time a bit. This actually one reminded me a lot of the Netflix Marvel shows where there's highlights in it that I really like, and then there's dud episodes, and I'm like, this should have been longer or shorter, or you should have put more in it. You should have given these people more to do, but they're not allowed to play with the same things. And this is the thing that made me like it less. Couple of months, I can't remember exactly, but like a couple of months after they announced Captain America 4 is happening, there's going to be a movie, another Captain America movie. And then I was like, oh, right, that's what we do here, is we have the transition into Captain America, but we also want to have some villain plots. But they use one of the villain plots to make a new player for the game, and use the other one, we'll use the character of Flag Smasher from the comics that no one gives a shit about, you know? But then we'll make her into something new.
Yeah.
We'll have Zemo. I really like Daniel Bruhl.
I liked it a lot in Civil War.
And I like him enough in this. I think they overplay it a bit much. But right at the point when he started dancing, I was like, okay, I'm kind of in. I kind of love it. The fact that
I think he doesn't really do anything beyond that.
I can't believe that he put on the fucking mask, which was the thing that got me most hype about this, is when there was like a image of him wearing a mask. It was like, cool. He puts it on for no reason in one scene, kills a couple of people, and then takes it off.
Yeah.
And then doesn't put it on again, and then goes back to jail, but a different jail.
Yeah.
And then when they announced Captain America 4...
Now you have the movie in the trailers. Ha ha ha.
When they announced Captain America 4, I was like, oh, I get it. Because you don't want to do anything with Zemo. Because...
You're going to use him in Captain America 4.
You just want to establish a couple of things about him. Like, oh, we didn't show this in the Age of Ultron, but he is a baron.
And he's a great dancer.
And he's a rich sort of playboy as well. Yeah. And he has all these contacts across the world. And
which is fair enough.
Yeah, and then you do that, and then you put him back in jail. Also, the reason they break him out of jail, at that point, I feel like no one told, like, Falcon that, like, the plot hadn't got to the stage where Carly had done anything yet.
Yeah.
So you got to stage like, oh no, she's, like, blown up, like, one office with no one in it.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever the fuck it was. It was, like, one act, and she was like, fuck, we got to break Zemo out of prison.
Yeah, look at all the staplers.
And I remember
Sebastian
like that end of that episode, like, and I was just like, what? No, that's a cool idea, but like, you don't have a reason to do this yet.
Yeah, at least have like another thing where it's like, oh, okay, next time she does something, I'm gonna bring in Zuma. But no, it's like, oh no, all this office supplies.
Or like
think of all the post-its.
Or
that
like,
burned.
there's
nothing.
an actual stakes to it. Like maybe it's like a thing where they're like, well, the fight between Carly and Wyatt Russell has gotten to such a fever pitch that either she is going to kill him and it will ruin their movement, or she'll die and then that will be bad because we don't want her to die. And he's like trying to reduce that. There's no way for me to stop this now. Gotta get Zemo. Yeah. You know, rather than like him just kind of sitting around like, do you want to break Zemo out of prison?
Shit, I got nothing else to do today. So, Falcon Winter Soldier's like, I should be in therapy, really. I don't want to go back. So, like, yeah, let's break this guy to jail. Like, the Dora Milaje show up for a bit. They're obviously great, but they don't really have anything to do as well.
No,
they're just kind of mad that Daniel Bruhl is around. Oh, look at this asshole.
Yeah, I remember that because I was like, what? And I was like, oh yeah, he killed that king.
He killed them, yeah. I can see why that might be a bit of a bummer. But yeah, like, apart from that, I don't... Also, like...
Did you like the costume? The final one?
No.
I liked it.
I think it looks a bit like a fucking NFL costume. Like, it looks like he's about to like fly into the Super Bowl.
Well, isn't that what Captain America looks like a little bit? I mean, I like the Captain America OG costume, but it is ridiculous still.
It's like a New England Patriots costume.
I think it's pretty hard to make a Captain America that isn't like at least a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And I appreciate that they went that more than I was a bit worried they just do the Winter Soldier old school suit. Not old school, but like the shield suit, but then just like put wings on it. Yeah. And I like that they sort of stepped up a little bit.
Yeah. Which is something.
And is there anything else about that show? Is it a recommend, I guess?
It's a very, very light recommend.
You know, because I was going to say, if you're interested in the story about like being black and being Captain America, go read that comic, Red, White, and Black, or whatever it's called.
If you want to watch it, you probably get the same effect from The Boys.
There's no real. I actually don't think I can recommend this. Then I guess but I'm like, if you want to see everything, you will get something out of this. But it's not like a misfire. But like, if you skipped it, unless there's like any of these things that you mentioned, if you're like, yeah, but I fucking love Daniel Bruhl, then sure you'll get some Daniel Bruhl. If you're like, I really like Winter Soldier and Falcon together, then you will get that,
and you'll regret it.
Well, I think it will.
I feel like it's a very pleasant waste of time.
Yeah.
And that's all that has to be said about that. Right, moving on.
It might be more fun as also watching it weekly. I feel like it was good watching one and then being like, oh, I want to see the next one. I don't think it's that bingeable, to be honest.
Oh hell no. Absolutely not. I guess the only thing I wanted to say as well is, like, I want to like the bit where, like, Sam gets denied for a loan for, like, all different reasons, and that's a cool idea. But I can't, like, endorse it just based on the fact that it's something that Peter Parker should be doing. And I'm mad that he's not going to be doing that shit.
Yeah, it is really, really fucking weird sometimes. Twitter is just a constant fight about, like, people saying, oh, I am Boy Jr. It's just, like, I don't want to, like, tread into that war of whether Tom Holland is the right Spider-Man or whatever. But I will say
that's probably a conversation in itself, because I have opinions about that trailer. My God. Anyway.
Yeah, I just, like, I really like the working class aspects of Peter Parker. I like the struggle and the money thing, and him being this imperfect guy who has to kind of forge his own way. You know, the idea of Spider-Man existing, and then like other Avengers are like kind of know him, but like he's not like respectful. He's not respected, and he's not respectful. He's a disrespectful disrespectful guy who's just like fucking with them. You know?
And then in the MCU, it's like a little closer to the whole Mr. Stark. Anyway, we'll get into that later. But for now, we should probably move on to the next MCU show, which I do believe is Loki.
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot.
Yeah.
Loki. Remind me a lot of Doctor Who.
I haven't seen Doctor Who, but...
It's like modern Doctor Who, like Matt Smith Doctor Who or something, where it's like you're hitting a lot of the marks, but not all. I'd say the plus side to Doctor Who is that they have this episodic format to it. And I think you got that a little bit earlier because you're like, oh, they're making him like they're deputizing him as like a time agent or whatever. So this gives an opportunity for them to go on loads of different time hopping or alternate reality hopping adventures. And then also the main thing is they're hunting for this person as it goes on. You reveal more about things as the show goes on. But they didn't really go for the episodic thing, and
I think the show overpromises.
Yeah, and it just like, and then they were definitely sort of like started strong and then sort of trailed off for me a bit, and then I still enjoyed it enough. Like Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's like you kind of get to the end, and then I felt a little bit more like the show, its purpose was more to introduce certain characters and ideas rather than like being its own thing. Also I will say that I like the characterization of Loki in it, but I feel like they were way too on the nose with it. It was like episode 1, like straight away Loki's like, well, I'm a narcissist and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and he's like so self-aware that it's like
we could have had this in like the third or second to last
like,
episode.
and it also like a real narcissist like wouldn't like react like so straight away. You know, there would be like an element of like admitting it, but only in a certain degree.
Or I think it's a good thing. And like there's a Lindsay Ellis video which goes into like Loki's narcissism, quote unquote, in the show. And she kind of makes the point that like he's not really a narcissist at all in the actual Loki show. It's not necessarily like a bad thing, and it works for the show. But like the show kind of posits one thing and immediately goes like, well, we're not that anymore. And he just becomes cured of narcissism. Yeah,
but they keep talking about it all the way through as if he's still like narcissistic.
But like, I don't think there's a narcissistic choice made in the show.
No, but he says out loud, I am, like in literal words,
a narcissist.
All the way through the show. And I'm not saying that makes him a narcissist. I'm saying that like that clashes what's annoying to me.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm kind of pointing to, is the fact that like the show is going out of its way to be like, isn't Loki such a rascal? And it's like, no, he's a completely different dude than this. You know, he's being unselfish. Even when you think he's fucking everybody over, it's for a very specific and kind of justifiable reason.
And again, I think part of that is like, well, we kind of want him to be a good guy, and I think like the fun thing about having these characters that aren't good is that they can do something evil sometimes, and you're like, wow, that was a fucking bad choice, and it not be like a guilt thing.
And I feel like the show was set up to not need him to do that.
Yeah, it feels like they just didn't.
Like Owen Wilson's character, I feel like starts off as his straight man to Loki's chaos. I think he's set up to be like the good character who has to decide whether or not he wants to trust Loki. And I think that might have been a better choice than having Loki be like this emotional center of the show. Because previous to this, Loki's never shown a sign of doing that. He's shown a sign, but it's always been like a ruse or like a subterfuge. But like,
no, I think there's like
the fun of Loki is like wondering when he's gonna fuck you over.
Yeah, I think that they could have, and this has happened because this happens in the comics where you have villains are villains in a hero series for a very, very long time without having their own thing. And then it'll be like suddenly like after 30 years we're doing a Loki comic, and it's like, what does that look like? And people have figured out how to tell those stories, and they don't involve someone just becoming a good guy, you know? Even for instance, like in the early Miss Marvel comics, there's a story arc with Loki that's like really funny. And it's like, I can't remember the exact thing, but I think there's some reason why Loki their goals align, and Miss Marvel helps him, so he's in debt to her. But the way he's in debt to her is like ruining everything, you know, because everything he thinks is good is actually a terrible idea. Like, please do not like set up these like ghosts monsters to defend my school, you know, and stuff like that. And it's like, you can have that back and forth, but you still have his idea of what is good is so different. I also think that Tom Hiddleston is much more satisfying playing the bad guy, or someone flawed, or someone arrogant, or something. And when he does the self-aware, like stuff,
sort of shit,
I don't think it's as good. And I think it's
nowhere near as compelling.
It then moves the Loki character sort of almost further away from being Loki and more into just being like Tom Hiddleston.
Which again is fine.
Yeah.
But like, again, this isn't the character that you promised.
And I will say, despite all of this front loading with bad stuff, I like quite enjoyed the show.
I had a good time.
And I would recommend it more than I would recommend Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
100 times. I feel like it starts quite strongly, and you think it's going to take a lot of turns and twists and turns. It kind of sets itself up to be that kind of show.
Yeah.
But I feel like the middle dips a lot. I don't know what the actress's name is who plays Sylvie, but I think she's really good. And like that kind of twist of there's a female Loki and all this shit going on is an interesting one.
Yeah.
But I don't think they have much to do with it. Yeah. Or they should do things with it, they don't really. And it kind of ends up as like, oh, Loki's going to fall in love with it. And it kind of, again, becomes like a thing of, oh, he's a narcissist and blah, blah, blah. But like, it's not really that either.
Well, there's just so many things that like I thought would like, could be revealed. Like, I'm like, oh, well, they left like Sylvie's origin a bit vague, but they keep highlighting it. So I'm like, oh, there's something about that that's going to be revealed. Like, she isn't what she seems. Something happened there we don't know about, and then they just don't. And then
they give you a little bit.
That's what I mean. When they give you that little bit, you think, well, why draw attention to this
if you're not going to do anything with it?
If you're not going to do something with it, and you think, well, maybe there's some reveal later. And it's time travel. You could do all kinds of shenanigans.
You could do fucking anything.
You could have Loki even like at a certain point in the show going back and seeing something he did in a previous scene from a different angle and realizing something else is going on. And like, oh shit, I didn't realize this person was stalking me at that point. There's a billion fun things you can do with that. But like you said, the first few episodes are like, cool, this could go anywhere. And then they go, we're staying here.
You know what it reminds me a bit of? Like, I played through like The Last of Us. And that game is super linear. You take like the path it wants you to take. But there's all these different things where it feels like you could take these paths. But the game's very good at like directing you down a very specific thing you have to do. And I feel like Loki's a similar thing in that, like, on the one hand, it's the fucking multiverse. You can do billions of amounts of things. But the show's very, like, careful and kind of saying, well, this is the story we're going to tell. Anything that's going to come in, we're going to like handle in a very specific way. And, like, I feel like if you really wanted to kind of sit down and, like, figure out, like, a really chaotic and fantastic, like, weird show that it was, like, promising to be, I feel like Disney isn't capable of making that kind of show.
I don't want that much though. I feel like the scale of like where it is now compared to like you can go anywhere and do the craziest story ever. Yeah. I don't think it's like 0.1 on that scale. I think my problem is it's like because in The Last of Us, like you'll have an area where you can do like 5 or 6 different paths to the same objective. And they spread out, but then they come back together. And so it feels like you're just choosing where to go, but there's only one way you can go. Yeah. With this, I feel like it's just the one path. It's a linear path, which just feels very strange for a show where like the whole thing...
It's winding, but it's one path.
Yeah, I don't even think it's that winding. It winds a bit at the start, and then it's like, well, we now know exactly who Sylvie is. There's no more subterfuge, no more reveals about that. It's like, okay, it's this person, and she's trying to do this. We're trying to stop you. Let's go. And then it's just like, oh, and now we're on the planet. The planet's blown up. Let's try and get off the planet. And then we just go, and then we're getting to the place, and then we're going to try and break into the room. And it's just like...
Yeah, it's like it feels like a video game.
It's extremely straightforward. Like, even when they get, like, quote-unquote, well, I guess spoilers, obviously, but like when they get quote unquote killed, and then they're sent to that other place, it's like even when they're sent there, it's not like none of this was a choice. They're just thrust into these different places, and it's like, okay, new level, this planet, new level, this now planet. We're here. Now we're at the final level where Bowser's castle.
Yeah, there's a literal castle in this fucking movie.
Which I will say, everything in the castle, like I feel like I wish it had gone further. But I did like it. But it felt like they were like, we don't want to say too much because we don't want to fuck with like the script for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania.
Yeah. And that's the main criticism I have in it. Because I think I'm quite positive on it. But it feels like it should have gone further. Because it's telling you it's going to go really far.
At least they say there's going to be a season 2.
And I love the cliffhanger actually of this.
Yeah. But then I'm like, oh, cool. Like, we'll see if they do more interesting stuff next time.
Yeah. Which again is like, I feel like a feeling I have a lot in the MCU of like, maybe next time it will be fun. Yeah. But yeah, no. I feel like you're on the same page as me in that like, it's like not a strong recommend or a light recommend, but a regular recommend of like, watch this show. It's good fun. And I don't think it has like the same problem with third acts as I think maybe WandaVision has or the Falcon The Winter Soldier has. I think it ends more strongly But I don't think it ends
I tell
super
you what,
well either.
if you like Loki and you like Owen Wilson, that's enough because they're watchable actors. They're fun characters,
super watchable.
So, but then if you're someone who just like finds them both a bit annoying, then you would probably think the show is super average
because there's nothing else to really go for it.
There's not a lot. There's a few nice surprises, but like I think a lot of my expectations that they set up during the show weren't quite met. I don't even know if there's that much to say about. Well, are we going to get super spoilery for a minute about Jonathan Majors?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right, so he has been cast as Kang in the next Ant-Man movie.
And yeah, they kind of give you like a little bit of him.
And this version of him is...
He's hamming it up. I love it.
Does he give a name?
No. He's very specific not to give a name.
Right, but effectively, Kang, the character of Kang from the comics...
Yeah.
Is a scientist who, I guess, figured out about the multiverse and decided to fuck around in it. And then, obviously, every version of him did that, and they started a war with each other that was destroying it. So in order to control it, he created the TVA to manage it into one linear timeline for his own purposes.
This is why the shows are shitty written. It's because of, like, plot stuff, not because we can't think of anything else to do.
Yeah.
It's a ready-made excuse for our own laziness.
The ending is...
And it kind of ends with, like, this whole thing about, like, Loki being a narcissist, which, again, you haven't really been shown at any point. Yeah. Where she's like Sylvie says she can't trust Loki, but, like, there's no reason for her not to. And it's kind of tragic, but it doesn't really land because...
I didn't really believe that. Because she has the choice to kill him, and potentially, if he's telling the truth... fuck up the multiverse, or like let him live and let him continue being like the architect of her pain or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that she
makes the right choice.
I don't believe that she would have done that at that point in the show because they've done so much to make her like to soften her.
Yeah.
That then like
it's like we're back to episode 1, like archetypes.
Yeah, and I think that's part of them doing like a twist, like woo ending. And I just didn't. It didn't like land that well for me, but the John from Majors, he's fucking great, and I like the fact that this version of him, I guess, is dead forever now. So when he ends up being Kang in something else, he can just and he can play it a completely different way.
He can play like multiple Kangs. I'd be fucking down for that shit because Kang gets crazy in the comics, right?
Yeah, because Kang is like crazy from the word go in the comics. Like I've only read a few stories with him, but it's so confusing. There's so many multiple versions of Kangs that became entirely different characters, which fight with each other regularly. It's like there's the idea that there's a version of Kang the same, and this isn't multiverse as well.
This is one.
That's why they made it multiverse in the MCU because it makes a bit more sense. Was the idea of his time travel self who like starts in the future, goes back to the past because he's like, well, I can be somebody back here because I have all this sick tech from the future.
It just keeps on happening.
And then he does that and he fucks around. I think maybe like the Avengers stop him and then he goes back to Egypt, ancient Egypt.
And that old place.
Becomes a pharaoh for a while and he's Ramatut and then he fought like the Fantastic Four in the past. But then he later becomes Immortus and then he also becomes Iron Lad. Like, there's all these different versions of him that end up competing, and there's also a point where there is a council of Kangs.
Of course there is.
Which, there's all these different time things, and a few of them are like I'm the one true Kang. He teams up with other Kangs and then manipulates them into doing his bidding, and then they're killing other Kangs for him.
It's like a Game of Thrones with Kangs.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like what they do, the whole Council of Ricks in Rick and Morty is probably a riff on Kang.
Yeah.
Because he does exactly that shit. But they kind of like, there's one Kang that like fucks them all over and like makes sure the other ones are dead so that he's not fucking with the timeline anymore. It's so confusing. I'm glad that Jonathan Majors is it because he's a really good actor and he seems like he's willing to play it crazy. I think this version might be Immortus just because in the comics, like, I think he's like the Lord of Limbo.
Oh shit, yeah. Is that like the Purgatory, or like he's just really good at that one like party game? Oh, don't invite him to your wedding. He's gonna win the limbo game.
Can you go? Kang, how low?
How
can
you Kang?
How can you Kang?
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
What does any of this mean?
That's why you like talking about this shit, because it's so insane that you can be insane and then be like, what?
This is all insane. Don't
comic
reprimand
book.
me for like not going along with the already insane insanity. But yeah, to digress.
Anyway, he's good. I'm curious what they do with that in the future. I wonder if they're gonna make him a big bad. I think some people expect him to be a big bad for Avengers or something, but like,
I don't think we're gonna get like that kind of event for a while.
Oh, not for a while, but the fact that they're like putting him in the next Ant-Man and he announced it is interesting to me, because it then makes me think like, are they gonna go up against one version of Kang?
Yeah.
Or are they gonna like...
Oh shit, Kang's outside.
One version of Kang?
What version of Kang?
You were like my retake, and you're like, I'm gonna say something that explicitly references the previous take.
Yeah.
But anyway,
What version of Kang?
fuck off. Yeah, so it's a bunch of shit. Anyway, bye.
Right. So we've got one more thing to talk about.
What was that? What if?
What if?
Yeah.
What if we talked about what if in this podcast?
What if this show had the same level of imagination in its action scenes, in its plot?
I think that's probably like a really, really succinct way of like showing how I felt about it. Because we watched the whole thing together.
Fighting was cool.
The fighting was cool. And like the thing that I remember in like episode 1 was going to you like, don't love the animation on this.
I said, don't worry. The second episode, I think they've got different animation styles for every episode.
Nope.
And then I was super fucking wrong. That probably would have taken too long production-wise, but I think that would have been the better choice.
Way better. And I don't get on my soapbox about like forms of art, but like, I don't get why we're so fucking allergic to 2D animation.
Yeah.
Because this show kind of uses like a hybrid of 2D animation.
It looks like
3D like character models.
It looks like a Telltale game or something.
Oh, 100%.
Like, it was like watching Tales of Borderlands, and I was like, you know what? Tales of Borderlands looks good.
But it's a video game.
Yeah, and also like...
And the company that made it is out of business.
You don't sit there for 30 minutes watching like a cutscene, you know?
You're
like
interacting with it.
It has this degree of separation that whenever people started talking, I was like, I'm playing a video game. And it just like threw me off. It like, I just don't think the 3D worked.
Especially when they're not fighting and shit.
Yeah, but the action looked really cool. And it also allowed for them to do interesting stuff in the action, like when in the final episode, I won't spoiler it yet, but like stuff at the final episode has the Kirby crackle, which, don't know if you know, it's a very something that Jack Kirby, the artist,
Kirby,
was known
the
for.
artist, not the video game character.
No.
I was like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Jack Kirby, who created like Fantastic Four and stuff like that, and did loads of cool stuff for Marvel and DC. A lot of like distinctive images of the cosmos in comics come from him, and one of his things is this Kirby crackle, which
okay.
This kind of like dot artwork to be like a form of energy, or like the cosmos, or like a lot of stuff with like Silver Surfer would use it, and it's like this weird cool dot pattern, and that comes up in the energy and stuff in the show.
I think it looks really cool. Like the facial animations just don't work at any point for me.
I think the stories are like pretty. They average out to pretty average, because some of them like go in ways I'm like, oh, this is a really boring way to do this, or the premise is just not that interesting. As someone who's read a bunch of What If comics, and I feel like it was only towards the end that they started doing stuff that I was like, actually, this is a really cool idea. What if Ultron won and stuff like that?
Yeah. And I think like the problem I had with the What If, because I started really not liking this to begin with. Because the first episode is like, what if Hayley Atwell had more to do, and they kind of do it, and you're like, okay, but you have nothing to tell me about this. It's just the Captain America story, but now it's Hayley Atwell instead of Sam.
And she's just saying Britishisms.
Yeah,
I feel like the internet is being punished in this for like, they're just like, oh, you thought Thanos was cool? Well, he's a punk bitch, actually.
Yeah. Oh, they make Thanos look like a fucking piece of shit in this.
Yeah.
Every time he comes on screen,
I kind of liked it though.
Oh, yeah.
It made it funny. Like when he like comes out and he's like talking about his theories about how he should like destroy the universe, and then everyone's like, yeah,
shut your
whatever.
ass up.
Like Thanos with like no power is just like
Some
like
guy on the internet.
or some guy at a party telling you about his book, and you're like, oh,
you should read some more on my blog.
yeah.
Just don't have a book. I did enjoy that. But yeah, like the second episode is a T'Challa one, right? Which I did not like.
Know the order. It was fine, but again, it was like not a particularly interesting idea for me because my problem is that they keep a certain subset of the show, like a third of it, was like them being like, what if we did this scene in exactly the same way but with one difference?
Yeah.
Like, what if we have like the opening scene from Guardians of the Galaxy, but T'Challa is that? Yeah. So much of it went down to the point that towards the end they redo one of the opening scenes from The Winter Soldier with Hayley Atwell's Captain America, and at some point I was like, they're literally doing the same dialogue, but like in the Fallout menu, she like picked option 2 instead of option 1, or she had different stats, so she had to say things in a different way.
Yeah,
like
her charisma wasn't as high or something.
Yeah, so I was like, you're doing the same scene, and I'm like, well,
what's the point if you're going to do the same thing again?
Yeah, it's not like it's almost like you're going like, hey, look at this, got some artists to design a suit for Hayley Atwell, isn't that cool? And it's like, I can go on Tumblr for this.
It's like a third of the show was fan written, I think is the way I put it. Where like with the Captain America stuff with Hayley Atwell, I'm like, yeah, like this is something that a fan would suggest, and we go, yeah, that'd be fun, and then the conversation would move on because it's like, no, what else would be fun about this? And similarly with like the T'Challa stuff, like, yeah, fair play, like it needed a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, but some parts of it was a bit like, yeah, I don't really have much to say about this. But what I will say is that by episode 3, I think it is, like, the show becomes like a fucking episode of Black Mirror, and I'm so down for that shit.
At what point?
Episode 3, I think it is.
And what's that?
The Doctor Strange one.
Right.
And I was kind of like,
oh, that's I feel like what it should be more.
Like a bit weirder, a bit darker, a bit.
Well, yeah, because that's what, like, for instance, I reread a issue of What If the other day. There's this whole thing. Oh god, fuck!
Please don't use more comic bullshit.
No, I was stopping because I was about to give away a big thing about like I was gonna give away a future weird lore. Anyway, there's a storyline that happens in the comics that they like did a what if about. Yeah. Basically, like a few different decisions are made, and Peter Parker's left in this position where he's like really fucked up, and he accepts in this what if. Because he got so fucked up, he accepts the symbiote,
yeah.
And then they become something called poison, and it's a really interesting.
Does he start like a band?
It's an interesting story because you see.
Does he become part of Belle de DeVoe?
He just comes in and does the Turk dance. That could be the outro.
Yeah. Okay, there it is.
Just to make sure we never make any money off this.
Yeah. So money when we can have dumb bits.
As always, please support us on our Patreon.
We really need the money, as you can see.
You need money for our lawyers.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's a really dark story because then what happens is like you got this kind of like Peter Parker becoming this awful person, and then him like talking to his family and to Mary Jane. They're like, oh my god, it's this really tragic thing that's happened to him. And I think that's the fun thing with the what if, is that you don't want to do that in a comic necessarily because it's too dark.
It'll fuck everything up.
Yeah, you have to undo it later and stuff like that because it's too far from the character. It's like, well, what if you can do that? So it's like, why not go fucking crazy? Like, there needs to be another twist. It's not like, what if the Captain America story happened, but Hayley Atwell, we just switched a few people around.
Because there's nothing interesting to say about it.
It should be that, and then a bunch of other shit happened. And the Doctor Strange one was a bit better for that, because it was like, it got into this dark, weird place.
It started from a very, like, kind of relatable place, and kind of just went horrible really quickly. And at no point does a show go, oh, it's going to be okay. It's like, no, it's going to get worse. He really, really wants Rachel McAdams not to die. And I think that's probably where I enjoyed the what ifs more. Even to a lesser extent in like the zombies episode, which I came into it feeling like, oh fuck, they're gonna do zombies.
I didn't really like that, but mostly
I liked it more than I thought I would.
But mostly because the Marvel zombie story is actually like, I don't want to say it's like a great comic, but they have a lot of fun with the concept, and it felt weird to do a Marvel Zombies episode and then not do any of that stuff. In the comics, there was a thing where like it was like Magneto was one of the few humans left, and he like led a rebellion that was underground, and like the heroes kind of maintained like a twisted version of their own personalities. They weren't mindless,
Yeah.
which makes it way different because you've got like Spider-Man coming after you, but he's trying to eat your flesh.
Yeah.
You know, and then they make him speak in the way that Peter Parker does, but like with this added insane thing. Or he's going to be like that 1 minute, and then the next minute he's going to be like crying over the fact that he ate Mary Jane.
Yeah.
And it's like...
With great power comes great brain.
Yeah, or the idea of like... And they do it a little bit with Wanda, but like the idea of like...
She starts her powers and she just sort of
exactly,
up, but she's also a zombie now.
And then you start like... There's like an Ultimate Fantastic Four story where Ultimate Reed Richards meets regular comic Reed Richards. Like, and it's like the first time the two universes have met, but then it turns out it was all a trick, and it's actually zombie Reed Richards, and he was just trying to invade another universe to eat all their people.
That's
and it's like,
cool.
yeah, it's
That's
like,
something.
yeah, it's like a fun. You can do all these fun sort of things like that with it. But instead, it was like, oh, it's just kind of like a fairly generic zombie movie, and then occasionally like a superhero zombie Cap turns up or whatever, and they're like, oh no.
Oh, Zombie Iron Man's here. Ugh. Although, another thing that hurts this show quite a lot is that, like, they have a lot of, like, the characters that you see in the movies, but, like, voice talent for, like, half of them.
Yeah.
I also can really tell.
And I really don't like the imitations. I will say some of the voice acting from the actors themselves isn't very good, because you remember, like, they're actors, they're not voice actors. There's a reason why this is a different...
Yeah,
thing that people are voice actors as a job.
Someone told DreamWorks, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, because they're good at. You don't need to cast like fucking George Clooney as
a talking bunny rabbit.
Yeah,
of course he's going to be terrible at that.
Yeah, bad choice actually, because he's pretty good in Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Is he talking bunny rabbit in that?
No, he's the Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll get to that. But yeah, I feel like the big ones. So like Robert Downey Jr. is nowhere to be seen.
Oh right.
Chris Evans, nada. Tom Holland is like better than this now, apparently.
Yeah, I kind of stopped paying attention to the credits after a while
because it's just like disappointing.
The only one that really bothered me was Ultron, because because
they're trying
because they're trying to do a James Spader voice, and it doesn't work. So I'm kind of like, well, why didn't you just? There's no reason for you to do the voice the same, you know?
Because James Spader's voice is like super distinctive.
Yeah, exactly. That's why
get
it
him
was
back, or
interesting.
like don't do it. Or...
Yeah, exactly. Just do a robot voice. It was also like a, you know, he's gone through different incarnations in this story, so he
There's
might
plenty
have
of
a
reasons
different
to
voice.
like do something different.
Yeah, I like the design for Ultron in this though.
I think
cool.
he's pretty rad. I think
his character is boring. The thing I like about Ultron is that he's
the
the
Tony Stark.
No. I mean, in the comics, the thing I like about him is that it's the Terminator sort of story, but it's also he's a crazy robot. You know?
Yeah.
He's got these inputs from different minds and stuff like that. He has flaws. He's not a straight up like ruthless. I have no emotion. I'm completely rational. And in this, they play like Ultron like that, and I'm like. Remember in the thing I kind of liked in the movie that I think they went a bit too far with, but like one of my favorite bits in Ultron was when he chops off fucking Andy Serkis's arm.
Yeah.
And he like does it because he like made a reference to like Tony Stark, and then he cuts his arm off, and then he's like starts ranting about like, oh, I'm not like him. What are you talking about? And then he goes, I'm sorry.
Sorry about your arm.
Yeah.
Just don't do it at Tony Stark.
Yeah, and it's like that's not a hyper rational evil robot. That's like someone with like a weird complex going on.
Yeah, someone with like daddy issues.
Yeah, and it's like
we created robot daddy issues.
And then they just did none of that in this, so it was a bit.
I guess you don't have the personality of James Spader, which you need, really.
He needs something. Anyway, that whole ending thing with the Ultron story was, and I mean, it was heavy on the action, so it worked for me, even though the plot was like fine.
Yeah, and one of the episodes which I thought I would hate going into it, but I didn't actually kind of loved, was the Chris Hemsworth one.
Oh yeah,
they just do like Ferris Bueller's Day Off with Thor.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot weird. I remember that like so much of that episode was just like nonsense for the sake of it. it was really fun just being like, oh, there's no stakes to this. They're just like fucking around.
Yeah.
And Chris Hemsworth is one of the few voice actors that I think worked well.
Partly because like his character
is goofy.
Super goofy.
And he's just going for it.
Yeah.
And I think he knows.
He knows what he's in. He knows what he wants to do with the character because he knows what works.
Yeah. It's it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I don't know how I feel about the rest. It feels like as a first season, I'm like, better luck next time sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like I think they kind of, if they do another season of it, it'll be fun to see them do something more crazy, considering you have liberty to do anything. You can bring in new characters, you can make new versions of other characters, you can redo characters completely. There's a million things you can do, and it doesn't have to be like so similar.
Yeah. I think he probably, like, the one episode I don't think it does it a little bit is the last one, and the second to last one with Ultron, where it's like, oh yeah, of course he would try and kill God. That's the only thing left to do. And I think that's like the kind of thing where that eventually goes, and I'm like, this is probably what it should be more of.
Right.
You know, where you're going like, let's just fucking fuck with the rules, because who the fuck cares?
So I think What If ran as just a series, like, What If 1, 2, 3. Like, it did that for a while, stopped, came back a bit later, was cancelled again. But like, now I think what happens more is they do like the one-off What If, but it's about an event most of the time. So it's
What If Civil War was good.
They do like What If Civil War, they do What If Secret Invasion, and then usually within that they're like 3 different ideas.
Yeah.
And it's good because you like have like
these like pivotal moments in the story which go one way, but
and you're like,
the other way.
Yeah, you're like, what if like Secret Invasion, what if the Skrulls invaded and won? Or what if they infiltrated and we never found out about it? And it's like interesting things like that you kind of do
like
that stuff
Civil
with.
War, like what if Spider-Man doesn't reveal his identity? What happens then?
Yeah, and it's just like it kind of maybe fits a bit more if you like just go crazy with it. Don't be like, oh, what if like we flipped these 2 characters around? What if Steve Rogers never got the super serum suit and then just had like a Iron Man armor?
Yeah, which again,
like
you can fucking keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you had more ideas? Yeah, that joke is being run to the ground here. But yeah, any last words on What If?
No.
Yeah, I think I'm about ready. I recommend it. It's like, it's kind of fun, but I feel like it's a bit of wasted potential, and I'm kind of curious to see if they'll pick it up in season 2. So that's our fucking.
What's funny? Like, you didn't look that tired today, but like now you look super tired.
I feel haggard.
Yeah.
I think we're beyond
so
tired.
much, and we've got so much more to watch.
Yeah, so that is what this MCU's been doing. If I had more energy, I'd probably have a conversation about what the MCU's been trying to do with the latest spate of properties, but I'm so dead inside.
Eternals.
We probably talk about.
I feel like Eternals actually has a chance of being good.
I feel like they got an amazing director, so they're going to do something really, really stupid with it.
Is it a decent cast?
It's got a very good cast.
Yeah.
It's got a great director, and I'm like, there's no way they can fuck this up now.
Well, the only thing I say with it, right, is that they're not going to get anyone fucking with like, oh, you got to do this from the comics, you got to do this in the comics.
Because no one's read those goddamn comics. Do what the fuck you want.
Yeah, it's obscure for a lot of people. It's obscure for me, so.
Yeah. Like, the only thing I'm worried about is it's going to be boring as shit, but I'm hoping it won't be.
Yeah. I think it's like cool, just the idea of watching a story that feels like a bit disconnected, even though it's definitely not, because I watched the trailer the other day because it played in a cinema, and it starts with like, oh, when Thanos clicked his fingers, so it's kind of like, oh, right, okay, it's kind of connected, but like it's not in the same way that like No Way Home is, where it's kind of like, regardless of whether you think it's good or not, this is a follow-up from Loki, this is a follow-up from Doctor Strange, this is a lead into Doctor Strange 2, this is a follow-up to Far From Home, this is referential to the Raimi movies, and it's like
so many different things, and it's like,
and
there's no time for this to be a movie.
Well, there's no time for Tom Holland.
There's no time for Tom Holland to die.
Yeah. I was just saying no time to Tom Holland, but then I was like,
no time to Spider.
No, I was like, no time Tom Holland.
No Tom to die.
No Tom Holland. Die.
Spider-Man, No Way to Home Tom.
No Way to Home Tom.
Yeah. As you can tell, the madness is set in with the MCU.
It's a Spider-Man, and then Millhouse voice. There's no time!
But yeah, that's been our recap of all the things that the MCU's been doing recently.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, dear listener? Please give us your opinions, because
tell us what you think of the new Spider-Man trailers as well, because I'm curious what people think, because we've got
opinions, folks.
Yeah, Henry's like refusing to talk about it
because I don't have the energy, because that means I don't really get into it.
Yeah, and I'm just sad that we haven't got real puppet arms anymore for Alfred Molina.
These poor props, man.
Yeah.
Let's pull one out the props.
Alfred Molina was like, I have them in my garage still.
Yeah.
He came on set wearing them.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, we don't do that way.
And they all
anymore.
like dropped in like unison in a sad way.
Instead, put on this morph suit and we'll drop you in a big tank of water and we'll float you around a while. And then we'll ADR the lines in after.
Yeah.
We'll figure out what the script is afterwards.
Or you can just improv it, right? And he's like...
We'll use the AI to approximate your mouth and then just edit it in.
Really, you don't have to be here at all, really. just...
We just came here for a vial of your blood.
Oh, we've already taken it, yeah. We'll see you next week, Alfred. And we'll see you next week, dear listener. We'll be talking about...
Not next week.
Next time. You know... But yeah, no, catch you later, guys. We were talking about maybe the podcast, Spider-Man the Animated Series, that we talk about a lot, or we're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. But we'll talk about something. We'll see you then.
We might talk about nothing.
We might talk about nothing. Isn't that exciting? See you later, fuckers.
Go about your lives.
And poison.
Yeah, Spider-Man and Freeze in full effect.
You ready, Ron?
I'm ready.
You ready, Dave?
I'm ready, Slick. Are you?